Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of On the Shelf with Stranded J. This is the channel and this is the video series that I am doing recently. This is the channel, but this is the video series I've been doing recently where I'm going through every single trade paperback I have on my shelf, and I have quite a few of them. If you haven't seen my Nerd Room tour or previous videos, you can kind of see how many I do have, which is a lot. So it's going to take us a while, but I'm excited to do it. And we are still in Batman land, where we are looking at a lot of Batman stories. So we just got done with looking at Batman Year One. Naturally, it's time for another classic young early career of Batman stories, and that is two stories that are awesome: Batman The Long Halloween and Batman Dark Victory. These are written by Jeph Loeb, drawn by Tim Sale. And I have to say right off the bat, Batman The Long Halloween is my favorite Batman story of all time. I think a lot of people have that as one of their favorite stories of all time. I read it every Halloween. I don't know why. I know even though it's called The Long Halloween, it takes place over an entire year. This is the book that inspired, The Dark Knight, a lot of very different stories throughout Batman's career. Oh, excuse me. Ooh. However, this book is better than that even, I would say. This is what bridges the mob stories into the supervillain stories. So this is probably 2 or 3 years into Batman's career. I think they say it's about 2 years. So he's still young. He's still not 100% in with the police. And there is a new killer. His name is the Holiday Killer. And he is going around every holiday. That's where his name comes from. And he is murdering mob bosses. And this is where we are introduced to the Falcone family and the Maroni family, the two crime families of Gotham. And they're the big highlights of the book. But every holiday, someone dies, and they leave their calling card, which is a gun with a serial number filed off, with a baby bottle nipple as a silencer, and a little trinket for the murder weapon that goes with the murder weapon, and it has to represent whatever holiday it is at the time. So this is a mini-series. I think it was about 12 issues. It took place over an entire year, like I said, so each issue is kind of representative of a different holiday, and Batman's taking this entire year to figure out who this holiday killer is. He just goes through and it's a very good noir crime thriller story. I'm kind of so-so with Jeph Loeb. I'm not a huge fan of Hush. I'm not a huge fan of a couple of those. This is his best work, I would say, especially with Batman. And it's just a great story. If you haven't read it, it is a must-have in your Batman collection. This is an older version. This came out in the early 2000s. It's a little thicker. Now you can get it, and it has much better paper than this one does, just to kind of review the book itself. Let me talk a little bit about Tim Sale's art. It's going to depend. Some people love it. Some people hate it. Most people love it. I love it. It makes Batman seem kind of otherworldly. You have all the crazy rogues. You have Catwoman, and you have Batman. I reviewed this book. It was one of my first reviews on my channel over 11 years ago. So if you go back, you can hear young Jay from early high school discussing this book. But the art, I think, is fantastic. I think there's a lot of really great... Batman is always in the shadows. He's not... it's kind of like the Spawn series from HBO, where you don't really see Spawn. You kind of just see him in the shadows. There's a little more to it than that. There's a lot of really good shots of Batman. But you have this... It just feels like a very... It's the closest to Batman the Animated Series, I think, besides doing a Batman the Animated Series comic, that you can get. Just the way it feels timeless, yet also has that kind of period piece to it. Feels like a 1930s crime thriller. And then you get introduced to the villains, and we get all the villains in this. Well, not all. We get a lot of them. We get the classics. We get Joker. We get Riddler. We get Scarecrow. We get Catwoman. We get Mad Hatter. I mean, we get a lot of them. They all make appearances in this. And this isn't really an origin of those guys. The origin of Joker that you may want to read if you're looking for one is probably either Killing Joke, or you're looking for, if you want like the first encounter, maybe Batman the Man Who Laughs, which I have neither of those in my collection. I have Killing Joke in first print, the real comic, but it's not with me. It's not in my trades or anything. But what I was going to say is this does have the origin of Two-Face. So just as I said, this is kind of an introduction to, and it's very inspired. A lot of people have used this, such as The Dark Knight, which has the Two-Face origin. This is the same idea. Two-Face is introduced in this, and it's just really great. I don't want to spoil too much because I don't want it to be something that people are, you want to go into it kind of blind. The mystery is the fun part of it. Even after you've read it, though, it's fun. You catch all kinds of different things, and who the killer is not probably who you would ever expect. So I love that. So following up with that is Batman Dark Victory. This is the sequel to Long Halloween. And I picked this up really cheap. It's very beat up. I bought it used at my local comic book store, but I wanted it, and I picked it up just then because same creative team, Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, which is great. Same amazing art that was in Long Halloween. Not as strong as Long Halloween, but it is a nice follow-up. If you love that kind of universe they set up in the first one, you're going to get the same thing here. This follows kind of the aftermath of what happens in the first book. And obviously, if you can look at the cover, it introduces Dick Grayson Robin. So this is one way, this is one origin to Robin that is, if you're looking for one, there's many, but this is just one version where they introduce that. Like I said, the reason this isn't as good, I don't think, as Long Halloween is it kind of feels like a rehash. It's the same idea. Who's the killer? Who did this? Who did that? There's kind of a person who's mimicking what kind of happened in the first book. But you're getting, like I said, if you're wanting kind of an introduction to Robin in a way, or if you want kind of a follow-up just because you loved Long Halloween so much, I highly recommend picking that one up as well. Like I said, I picked it up super cheap. It was kind of banged up. It was a used copy, and I think that was a good price for where I got it. I don't remember how much it was years ago, but I am very happy that I have these books. They're in really good shape still. And like I said, I read at least Long Halloween. I try to read it once a year. It's really, I think this is the perfect encapsulation of Batman that you can get. If you're really trying to get into who Batman is, if you're trying to really get into his world especially, this is a good one because it's not his origin, which you always get, but it's also nothing, it's not anything so out there that they're trying something so new that you don't really know what the normal Batman is like. This is probably the best way to get introduced to that. And that's why it's also, I think, like I said, it encapsulates everything. I think that's one reason why it's one of my favorite Batman stories. It is my favorite Batman story in comics of all time. It's kind of like All-Star Superman, which we'll get to later down the line. If someone asked me like what I want to get started on this character, where should I start? Batman the Long Halloween would be the choice among maybe a few others, but it would be probably my first choice. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to pick these books up, they are available anywhere really, especially like these books because they're kind of more well-known. And if you're looking to collect, it's something that is definitely encouraged to have in your collection. So I hope everyone enjoyed it, and I will see you guys on the next video.